So, friends, once we create this virtual private cloud, inside this we can create any number of subnets. So, here I am creating, sorry for this. In this VPC, I am creating two subnets and I will give you a scenario based on which we will create this in actual so that you can relate it more clearly. So the use case is something like we have two servers. Okay, we have two servers. One is our web server and one is our database server. Sorry for my bad throat. One is our database server. So when we have these two server, web server and database server, so we all know that web server it is there, then it needs to connect to the public internet, because when anybody when wants to access the web server or web application, they are able to reach to this web server. So for sure this will be our public, but database server is like kind of a private, because it will be in the private network, because it is not required by any outside VPC, and it is only required by the web server. So web server will only communicate to the database server. So this is the scenario which we are going to follow, and in this scenario to cover this complete scenario, we will provision the VPC, we will do all the networking configuration, we will provision the servers, and we will connect them to the outer internet. So to do all these things, we have to follow some steps. So I have jot down here the steps which make it very easy to apply it when we are going to create this inside AWS. So friends, if you want to follow this with me, you can also create your AWS account. I have showed how to create our AWS account, and you can follow along so that it will become very clear for you as well. Or if you just want to listen and understand, that will also work to some extent. So first, we will create a virtual private cloud, a VPC. Then we will create two subnets. One is public because of web server, and one is private because of DB server. Then we will create an internet gateway and attach that internet gateway to our VPC. And by default, both the subnets will get associated with our mean root table and ACL. So when we create subnet inside this VPC, since when we create VPC, automatically these two things will get created. Okay, this is automatically. So when we create two subnet inside this VPC, both the subnet will get attached to the main root table and ACL. So to create a separate root table for the public subnet, we have to connect it with the internet gateway. So we will add a rule in the new root table what we create, that all the IPs can accessed and can connect to the internet, and we will associate this particular root table to our, and we will associate our public subnet to this root table. Now this might sound alien to you guys, but when I'll show you this in actual, you will able to relate and able to understand. Then we will launch our EC2 instance. We need two EC2 instance because we need one web server and one database server. The web server EC2 will be in the public subnet, and the other one will be in the private subnet. And for now, we will use same security group for both the EC2, but later we will create a separate security group for our DB server, because it will only allow the traffic from our web server, that is our public subnet. It won't allow traffic from the internet. So we have to add these rules in the security group. And then we will change the security group of our private EC2 from this security group to the new security group. So friends, To make it very easy for you, I will show you a demo. So let's begin. We will go to amazon.com, aws.amazon.com, and we will sign into console. I'm using root user here. I have logged in successfully to this visit, that is our AWS console management. Now let's start creating VPC. Let's go to VPC and go to your VPCs. Let's go to create VPC. Here we are just creating VPC only. We will give some name to this VPC. So this is like we are doing this VPC for our learning. So I'm just giving this name to learn VPC or learning VPC. It is using IPv4, and the IP address which I am going to use is this. IPv6 is block. Tenancy means for like rented purpose. So default or dedicated. Dedicated will be more expensive. We will select default, and there you go. Just create it. So our VPC got created, and if we see, when the VPC got created, automatically a root table got created and an account access control list, that is ACL, got created by default. This is our IP address range what we are using in this VPC. Now if we see here, there is no subnet and there is only one root table. So after creating VPC, we have to create two subnets. So let's go to our subnets here and create subnet. So because we want to follow the steps, I just wanted to show you that in this steps we have to create subnets and then internet gateway. And create subnet, give a name to the subnet. First select the VPC for which we are creating the subnet. This is our VPC. We have to give the name to the subnet. So this is web server subnet, and we have to select an availability zone. One subnet should be under one availability zone. This is our VPC IP address. We have to select a IP for the subnet. So this is the IP address which I am selecting for my subnet. And there you go. Our subnet is created. This is web server subnet. Now I want to create one more subnet for the DB server. So go here again, select the VPC, give the name DB server subnet, and then select an separate other one, not the same availability zone, because one subnet can be in one availability zone, and this is the other one. This is another IP address which I am using, and there you go. Our subnet is created. So now we have the two subnet. One is web server subnet and one is DB server subnet. So after creating subnet, we have to create the internet gateway. So for internet gateway, it's very simple. Create an internet gateway. So this is for learning VPC internet gateway. This internet gateway I'm creating for learning VPC. Just create it. After creating this internet gateway, we have to, right now it is detached, we need to attach it to the VPC. So we have to select the VPC for which we have to attach and just attach this. Once we attach this, we'll go to our VPC This is our VPC what we have created. And in this VPC, now we can see inside this VPC, we have two subnets into two different availability zone, and they both are connected to one root table. And network connection means internet gateway is this one. But friends, if we see here in our VPCs, this VPC, inside this VPC, these two subnets, what we have created, these two subnets, if we notice here, the auto assign IPv4 address is no, means it is not allowed to assign public IPv4 address. This means they are private. So, to able to make this public, we need to enable this. So, we want to make our web server subnet public, right? So, let's go to the subnet and edit the subnet setting and enable the auto assign IPv4 address. By this, it will able to communicate to the internet and save it. Now, what happened, friends, when I made that subnet public, then this uh, if I want to make the subnet, I have made the subnet as public, then this root table should connect to the outer internet. It should allow the outer internet because the data packets from the subnet go to the root table and then they will go to the internet. So I have to make this also public. But if I make main root table as public, then all the future subnets whatever we create, they will automatically attach to the main root table and all become public. But we don't want our DB server subnet to become public, hence we will create another root table. So let's go to our root tables and create another root table. This will be our web server root table because our web server needs to connect to the public. Select this and create this root table. Okay. So in this root table, what we have created, we have to add it and add the root here. So add a root that it will allow all the IPs and it will connect to the internet gateway. So this root table is connected to the internet gateway. So this will become our public. Now we need to associate this web server to this root table. So let's go to edit subnet and choose web server subnet and save association. Now this root table will be having the web server details. So if I go back to my diagram, in this we have created the VPC, we have created two subnet, one is public and one is private. How we made it public or private? By IPv4, auto assign IPv4 property. We made it and then we have created a separate root table for this particular subnet and we have associated it. Now, friends, the next steps, if we see here, we have created the subnet, we have associated it to the internet gateway. Now we will launch to EC2 instance. So let's go back and let's go to the EC2 instance. From here, let's go to the instance and launch a instance. So here I want to create a web server instance. So I will name it as web server EC2 instance. And I'll select Amazon Linux AMI only by default. Instance is T2. Let me create a new key pair, and I will give this key pair as learning key pair. And let's create this key pair. Then we see that the automatically learning this EC2 is inside the learning VPC, and it is also inside the web server subnet only. So this is auto assign public IPs enabled. Now let's create a security group. So it will allow traffic from anywhere and also allow HTTP from internet. So after creating this security group, we need to launch the instance. So guys, our instance is now up and running. This is our instance which is inside learning PPC. Now I have to create one more instance for my DB server. So let's launch another instance. Give this name as DB server EC2 instance, and again Linux EMI T2 will use the existing security new key pair. Then this is also inside the learning BPC, but here the subnet should be our private, that is DB server subnet. We will use the existing security group what we have created for the other one. So first we will check the so let's check the security group which is there inside this instance. So inside security, we have a security group which is ending with 198E8. So let's go here and select a security group which is ending with 1988. This is our security group, and then launch the instance. So our instance is launched. Now we have total two. One is web server EC2, one is DB server EC2, and both are under the learning VPC and into separate subnets. Now let's go back to our steps. So friends, we have created these two. One is under public subnet and private subnet. Now we will create a separate security group for our private EC2, that is DB server, and we will allow HTTP from this ICMPv4 from the web server, MySQL and SSH also from web server. So let's go back to our console. I will create one more security group now. Create security group. This security group is for DB server security group for learning, and I will give the same as the description, and then we will select the VPC, learning VPC, and we will add the rules. So first rule is outbound traffic. Then we want that all the uh, data should use HTTP and it should come from our web server. This is one rule. And then we will also use IMv4. Again, this will be from our web server. And since it is a DB server, we need MySQL also to connect, but that will connect from the web server. And at last, for pinging it, for the Linux, we are using SSH again from the web server. These are the different rules we have used. So, whatever rules we have created is accessible for both inbound and outbound. So, we can create the same thing here. So, first, let's say, then we will create the security group. After creating this security group, we need to add the security group to our instance. So let's go to our DB server instance. Let's go to security, and there we have the option of editing the security group. Action, security, change security group. So here first we will remove the this old security group and we will search our new security group and save. Add security group and let's save this. So we have created new security group. If we go back to our steps, we have created and attached it. So in this diagram, we have created VPC, two subnets. We have provisioned EC2 for two subnets. One route table is connected with the private DB server. This is DB server. And one route table is connected with the web server, which is this route table has connectivity to the internet as well. This is the main route table, and this is the new route table what we have created. And then here we have ACL. For now I'm not creating, and then we have created two security group and we have attached to the internet. So till here I hope the things are clear to you. So, friends, this was the demo of complete AWS virtual private cloud, how to create that and how to add different components. I hope this video will be beneficial. Please do try by your own to understand it more clearly. If you have any doubts, please do leave in the comment section. I will definitely try to reply. And thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye bye.